This is a mini PC that normally costs over $700. But the real issue here isn't the price. It's the terrible performance you're forced to live with if you actually own one. The CPU can only boost up to 2.5 GHz, and that alone already tells you a lot. This is the machine right here in my hands. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the raw, unfiltered truth about this mini PC. By the end, I genuinely hope this helps everyone stay as far away from this machine as possible. During the unboxing, I honestly didn't notice anything suspicious at all. Inside, it really is a PC, and it's actually pretty small, especially in terms of width. The seller also included a power adapter. One interesting thing I noticed is that there are no brand stickers or logos anywhere on the case, so this is most likely some kind of OEM system. Size-wise, it's just slightly bigger than a Dell Optiplex 3050 Micro. If you're curious about the exact dimensions, it's about 19 centimeters tall, 19 centimeters deep, and only 4 centimeters wide. Even with such a compact size, it still comes with all the ports I actually need, which is pretty impressive. The exterior is honestly pretty boring, so let's open it up and see what's going on inside. Oh no. Yeah, the inside is very basic, and honestly it doesn't look nearly as polished as most name brand systems. Right up front, we've got a 120GB SSD from a Chinese brand, which is modest, to say the least. At this point, it's probably just enough for Windows and maybe a couple of lightweight games, and that's about it. Next to it, there's 8GB of DDR3 RAM, running at 1600 MHz, and here's the catch. There's only one RAM slot. This really feels like a design that was built purely to cut costs wherever possible, M2 NVMe slot. Instead, there's just a single M2 SATA connector, which is not great, but not shocking either. Now, you're probably wondering, where's the CPU? And yeah, it's right under this tiny aluminum heatsink. Thin fins, small fan? Honestly, I'd be very concerned if there was something like an i9 13900K hiding under there. Unfortunately, I can't just pull the CPU out and show it to you right away. To do that, I'd have to remove the entire motherboard from the case, which is way more work than it's worth. So instead, let's power it on and see what CPU this system is actually running. I was honestly surprised. The system powered on immediately. Thankfully, no major issues this time. And inside, we've got an AMD A87410. It's a 4-core, 4-thread processor, and it was originally released back in 2015. To be honest, there's nothing particularly special about it. This is a low-end, older APU, nothing high performance. The one decent thing about it is the integrated Radeon R5 graphics, which was slightly better than other integrated GPU in the same price range at the time. The reason this is considered a mobile processor is because it was mainly used in budget laptops and small business notebooks, especially between 2015 and 2017. So yeah, this was never meant to be a powerhouse. It was designed for affordable, everyday machines. That actually made me wonder for a second. Why would a mini PC use a laptop chip instead of a normal desktop CPU? My guess is simple. A lot of old laptops still have working CPU even if other parts are dead. So instead of wasting them, manufacturers reuse those chips, design a new board around them, and turn them into cheap mini PC for basic tasks. But theory is one thing. Now let's see what it can actually do in games and real-world use. What surprised me even more was the performance numbers. In multi-core, it only scored 471 points, and in single-core, just 116. And yeah, that's pretty rough. When it comes to video playback though, it actually does fine at 720p. Even at 1080p, it's still completely manageable for this CPU. But once I pushed it up to 1440p, things started to fall apart. The video began buffering constantly, and you could clearly feel the system struggling. And at 4K, the PC basically gave up. The image froze, playback stopped being usable, and you could really see the limits of this aging architecture. That's where its age becomes impossible to ignore. Performance-wise, honestly, there's nothing too impressive here. So I decided to swap in another drive, one that already has games installed, just to see what this thing can really do. The first drive wouldn't even boot into Windows. I tried a second one, and for a moment, I thought everything was finally working. Nope, blue screen. That's when I remembered. This BIOS is really old. It doesn't support UEFI, only the classic MBR format. So yeah, newer installs just aren't going to work here. That meant going back to the original drive and installing the games directly on it. I'm not going to bore you with the whole download process, so let's skip straight to the game test. Starting with Minecraft. And yeah, and it's bad. FPS stays in the single digits, and it's pretty obvious that the CPU is the main bottleneck. It's basically stuck at 100% usage, and honestly, it sounds like the CPU is screaming for help. So at this point, I figured I had to do something to save it from this situation. I decided to use a few tweaks to remove all the unnecessary stuff in Windows. You know, the very useful features. I pasted in the script, hit enter, and thankfully the system didn't explode. I removed a bunch of annoying things, disabled what I didn't need, hit run tweaks, and just like that, I finally fixed the low disk space issue and made the system a bit more usable. After that, I jumped back into the game, and yeah, there was some improvement, but honestly, not a huge one. Frames per second went up by about 10 frames, which is nice, but with numbers like this, there are still a lot of limitations. To make it actually playable, I had to turn down a few more in-game settings, and surprisingly, FPS did increase quite a bit, hovering around 60 FPS. But the problem is stability. When I move quickly, or when the map needs more CPU processing, the frame rate can drop pretty hard. That's simply because this CPU just isn't strong enough to keep up. Still, if you're a more casual player and don't need perfectly smooth gameplay, it's usable at a basic level. And if you want even more FPS, dropping the resolution down to 720p is always an option. So I decided to switch to another game, and unfortunately that meant downloading everything all over again. This time, I tested Tomb Raider. I started at 1080p and dropped the settings all the way down to low. At that point, the iGPU was clearly working as hard as it possibly could. And I have to be honest, the performance was pretty bad. FPS was sitting at around 19 frames per second, which isn't great by any standard. Once I lowered the resolution to 720p, I gained about 10 more FPS. The interesting part is, even though the frame rate is low, it doesn't really drop too hard. So technically, the game is still playable, but only if you're willing to make a pretty big sacrifice in visual quality. Because of the hardware limits, there's really no upgrade path here that would noticeably improve gaming performance. And that's when I started thinking about something a lot of people use to keep old machines alive: Linux. I decided to go with Linux Mint 22.3, since it should be one of the better options for weaker hardware, especially a mini PC like this. The installation process is probably nothing new to most of you, so I'll just skip ahead. As for daily use, it actually feels smooth overall, with very little to complain about. When I jumped into Minecraft, I was genuinely surprised. Right after loading in, the FPS wasn't terrible at all, like hovering around 30 FPS. After turning off a few settings, FPS climbed up to around 70, and you can clearly see the GPU working at its absolute limit. At that point, I thought, maybe this is as far as it can go. Then I tried one simple trick, running the game in windowed mode, and somehow it just worked. FPS stayed consistently above 100, which honestly caught me completely off guard. I also tried testing Tomb Raider on Linux, but most of the time I couldn't even get past this point. The game just refused to launch properly even after dropping the resolution and graphics settings all the way down. I also tried installing the Vulkan driver for the GPU, but honestly it didn't make much of a difference. So after that I switched to another game, Left 4 Dead. At 1080p, running around and fighting zombies, FPS hovered at around 20, which is not great. Once I dropped the resolution down to 720p, things became noticeably smoother. FPS stayed around 25 to 30, which isn't amazing, but at least it's much more playable. So yeah, that was an experience. You could call it testing, or honestly just torturing a PC. After watching so many games and videos running at terrible frame rates, my eyes were definitely feeling it. And at the end of the day, this is pretty much everything this mini PC can do. It has a lot of limitations, both in performance and upgrade options, and it's pretty clear that it was never meant for gaming. Realistically, it's only suitable for office work and watching YouTube videos. And at a price of around $700 on AliExpress, I'd honestly recommend staying as far away as possible.